conversations and debates amongst various publics. Majority of Nigerians have applauded the ruling, while some, including former governor of Delta State, James Ibori, are uncomfortable with the judgment. According to Ibori, the judgment was at odds with the spirit of Section 162(3), subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution, which provided for the principles of federation. The naysayers also argued it has also negatively impacted Section 6, which enjoined states to maintain joint local government accounts. For the sake of clarity, the Supreme Court directed that financial allocations be made directly into the accounts of the 774 local governments in Nigeria. Such payments, the judgment affirmed, shall be made to democratically elected local government councils. In addition, the Supreme Court has declared caretaker committees as unconstitutional. It has also barred the state governors from dissolving elected local government councils. Those are actually the summary of what the Supreme Court judgment was. With me in the studio this evening to shed further details on matters arising from the Supreme Court land judgment is Ozo Igbeneghu Ogatimora. He's an Enugu-based attorney and former commissioner for information in Enugu State.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure, as a lawyer and as a commentator on national issues,
Yes.
that you would have perused, you would have read the judgment.
Yeah, I've read what is available. The real true copy is not yet out.
From what you read,
Yes, we've got the snippets.
what are your thoughts?
Well, to be honest with you, I am not very comfortable. Not because of the same reason former Governor Ibori and some others are not comfortable, or the same reason some persons are so happy about that judgment. I'm not comfortable because it is not yet certain what that declaration, what that judgment is set to achieve, other than what is posted out there as financial autonomy for the local governments. You see, that judgment, perhaps when it comes out in full, we'll get to understand whether it actually touches some areas of the law, that is the Constitution, for that financial autonomy to be achieved. I'll give you an example. Section 7, sub 6A says the National Assembly makes laws as to expenditure and funding of the states from the general revenue. B says the State Assembly makes laws as to the revenue, effect of revenue of the state on the local government. So if you grant financial autonomy to the local government and you leave making the law to the State Assembly, it is not actually financial autonomy, right? That is one aspect. Then that section 162 sub 3 is talking about. The first question that should even arise is, as a federalism, what are the constituents of our federalism? That is the federating units. Is it the state? Is it the state and the local government? If it is the state that are the federating units, this autonomy, where does it leave the local government? Can the local government be a federating unit? Is it possible for it to be a federating unit? You remember the case of Attorney General of Lagos against Attorney General of the Federation, 2004.
Yeah, when Tinubu was governor.
When Tinubu was governor, this thing came up. What brought about it initially, the initial ground was that the Tinubu administration created local government areas And the Obasanjo administration said no. The federal government was not going to feed the newly created local governments. That mobilization of revenue of the federation would be to the existing local governments. Now, it brought that confusion because eventually the Tinubu administration created about 47 local governments from 20. So now the thing went to court. And the creation, Section 8, vests the power of creating a local government in a state in the state assembly, only to make returns to the National Assembly. Right? So in other words, creating the local governments by the state was proper. But then the federal government says it is not going to release federal government revenue to those newly created local governments. You know, at the end of the day, the federal government seized the revenue going to Lagos State, and for a very long time, kept it for a very long time. It was eventually when the decision, that's the judgment of the Supreme Court came out, because another issue arose. Did the federal government have the power to withhold the money accruable to the local government? And the Supreme Court decision was that it didn't have the power. And that was why Yar'Adua administration released everything to Lagos State. Now, in this particular judgment, although to be fair to the justices, I have not read it in full, because I'm not going to say, because I have read snippets in the media, that I have read it. As a lawyer, I'm supposed to read the full judgment. But from what we have gotten, a lot of things are yet not out. It is not yet out on what it does with Section 7(6)(b).
The powers of
the state assembly to regulate spending.
And even
funding
make laws.
Yes, to make laws for the local governments. So you now find out that if that is not taken care of, then, well, that financial autonomy, I don't know. So what about the law that talks about Section 6, which says joint account? Is this new decision removing it? Which I doubt, because that decision, there's no way the decision of a Supreme Court will remove an element of the Constitution. It can only interpret it. So it is when it comes out, when we have the full details, that we will know whether it is indeed a financial autonomy. Because if you get to the fourth schedule of the Constitution, that is on the local government. You know, when people talk about political autonomy, I don't really understand what they mean. Maybe because they now say the local government chairman must be elected for them to receive this thing, and that they cannot be summarily dissolved. Yeah, maybe. Well, with that you can say they now have a measure of autonomy, but it doesn't end there. You know, we are in Nigeria, and some people are quite smart. Okay. I was actually reviewing this with some friends yesterday, and somebody was saying, what about the governor getting the prospective chairman to sign their resignation letters before they were even accepted as candidates? And when you sign it that you have resigned without putting a date, okay, they will allow you to contest the election. When you don't behave, they will settle some councillors who will now say you have resigned. They will not put a date on the paper and say you have resigned.
Yeah, because quite a couple of people have this contention.
Unless this new judgment has altered it. When we see the new judgment in full, we know. But the truth is that the local government is just like a parastatal in the state. Of course, parastatals are governed properly, but unfortunately in this case, because of the free money that is coming from the federation account, they are not governed properly. They are manipulated. They are indeed the conduit for everything. That's a local government will run from year to year, no single project anywhere. And not that the allocations are not coming. They are coming. And they are kept or used
Warehoused.
or warehoused or squandered by the state. I do not think that, for instance, in Enugu State, that you have had a local government chairman who has seen the full allocation in the last, well, I don't know, maybe in the administration of Sullivan Chime, but in the others, I have not seen, I'm not aware of one that sees even a quarter of that allocation.
Well, I was a player in the Sullivan administration.
Yeah.
And even in the previous episode of this program, I did say that for the 4 years I was local government chairman, I can't remember one, perhaps the last month when I was leaving, that we had issues with allocation being withheld. One, the explanation was there were a few of our colleagues then that were quite frivolous in their spending. And it was a transitional month. So that was the only time I think an amount allocation coming to Logan was warehoused. What happened during that time was the Planning Commission. You know what has come to you. And the Planning Commission will kind of sit with you and say, what are you doing with this money in the next 4 months? That's why we're able to buy tractors, we're able to buy graders, bulldozers, and in fact, firefighting equipment for those. And we're able to buy vehicles for police. And we started what you call the local government state joint road projects in the state. And if you know the Akpasha, the old Port Harcourt road, which was done between Ogu,
Yes.
Nkano West,
Yeah,
and
Kura
Iri,
Abu,
and then that was what will happen. And even at then, what was our own contribution? Basically between 20-30%, the state government provided the rest.
Okay.
But it was a novelty that local governments could actually do that.
Yeah.
But like you said, we can't speak for that. But also, there were other matters arising from that. One was, I had conversation with some people yesterday, and the issue was, this judgment commenced 2 months ago. And in a matter of about 60 days,
Yeah.
it was dispensed with. So there was a speedy trial as a lawyer. You know, matters go to Supreme Court, and even to file it, even to get a mention, even to get a date, it takes months. Some up to a year.
Yeah.
And somebody said there must be something fishy about these 60 days, 2 months. Did you address a man to that? It was quite
Yeah,
fast.
yes. Indeed, there's nothing unusual about it. There's nothing unusual. I'm telling you,
Tell our viewers.
because you see, that what you had required only filing of processes.
Okay.
Once you file the processes, it wasn't requiring appearing in court for hearings and the rest of them, because it is a constitutional thing. What they needed was to file the processes, and the justices would read them. Of course, where it was necessary, they probably invited opinions of legal luminaries.
Okay.
That is the tradition. They invited their opinions. It is AG Federation against AG of states. Just filing of the processes. It's left for the Supreme Court to ask for opinions of some amicus curiae, that's friends of the court, even some retired justices and some others. Ask them of their opinion, because it is interpretation of the Constitution. And once those opinions are brought in, they are all put side by side and weighed, and the decision is made. Or we know when eventually we get the judgment, we'll know how far-reaching it is. Because if it is one theme, that theme being financial autonomy, that is sending federation allocation directly to them, fine. Or political autonomy, saying that only elected local government councils would be funded from federation account, that is fine.
Okay, you had alluded to that, but you might speak to it further. And that is to the issue that some people argue, rightly or wrongly, that the Supreme Court judgment was actually an attempt, an ambush of the Constitution. They tried to amend some section of the Constitution, usurping the function of the National Assembly, and trying to amend the Constitution through the back door. We talked about section 6. That's about joint local
section 7, sub 6B, sub 6A. That is the federal. That's the National Assembly makes laws for states.
Okay.
While the State Assembly B makes laws for local government.
Then section 6, the joint local government account.
Yes. Section 6 is joint local
so
government
now,
account.
that's what I said. If now they begin to send the money directly to local government, would they be bypassing that section?
You mean bypassing that
joint account?
Yes, now. That is what I'm telling you, that the judgment, we don't know what it says about section 6. We don't know what it says. And we don't know what it says about that 6B and section 7 6B, and what it says about 162 sub 3.
Okay.
That's the constant unit. Are you remitting money to the local government directly as a federating unit, or what? That is, remember, it is not just sending them money. It is leaving them to determine entirely what to do with the money. You understand? Meanwhile, the position of the law is that the local government is under the state. What I think is that the federal government is being simplistic in dealing with the entire situation. That thing has to be well looked into. The decision taken, whether we have to retain the local government as a federating unit, or we leave it as a part of the state, which can be called, if you like, you call it local government council, you call it a local government area, you call it local government area council, or whatever. It was an issue in the previous litigation between AG Lagos and AG Federation. So these are the things that will have to be sorted out. It's not as straight as people think. It's not just an issue of what they call the word or phrase, financial autonomy or political autonomy. No. There are certain things that will impede that autonomy in law, and you can never achieve it. Well, when the money lands there with section 6 and that section 7 6B, you nail the money. You haven't removed them.
Okay, we'll just take a short break. When we come back, we're going to look at a script that talks about the duties and functions of local government.
Yeah.
And see to what extent the governors have usurped, so to speak, the total functions of local government.
Yeah, they
in
have.
some states, what you may have is a unitary government, where from the state capital, governors decide what local governments should do, should not do, whether it is the market, motor parks, virtually everything, even in revenue collection.
Yes.
So don't go anywhere. We'll take a short break. You are still watching Uncommon Conversations on Signature Television. We are still reaching you from our studios in Enugu, Coal City, the capital of Southeast Nigeria. My guest is still Ozo Igboneku Ogazumara.
Welcome back.
Thank you. One issue that has, let's take a look at this, functions of
Local government.
local governments.
Yes.
Local governments have the duty to take care of abattoirs,
Yes.
radio licenses, some road networks, of course, I'm a local government chairman, maternities, hospitals, and the like. Even, so especially markets. Markets are the preview of local governments.
Yes.
But somehow, the functions are many, but somehow, even in revenue collection, surprisingly, also, in most states, these functions have been taken over by the state governments. And it leaves me wondering, even if, like you say, it's an agency of government or a department of government, they should have certain rights and privileges. They don't seem to exist.
Well, to be honest with you, what you have in local government is, you can call it double jeopardy, because the states are after the local government funds, and in the process, they succeed in dispossessing the local government. Then they now act as if some of the functions of the local government are non-existent, while some, which can easily turn to good excuses or cover up, they took in as their own functions. It is not surprising that it is happening, because in reality, the local government system has not developed in Nigeria. The local government system elsewhere is the bedrock of civil administration. There is no civil administration without the local government system. In some places they call it county. Some countries they call it county. Some other countries they call it other names, provinces and the rest of them, or divisions. But in our own, it is the conduit. It is the port for feasting. You see, in Nigeria, one of the biggest problems we had, a fundamental problem, was unification of the local government system. The local government system was not unified before 1976. Local government system in the north ought not be the same with that in the east or west. Do you know that in some emirate councils, some palaces have two local governments inside one palace? The purpose is to allocate money to the big man. Allocate federal money to the big man. That was the purpose. That was the purpose. Now, it also reflects the traditional systems of those societies where they have age-old chieftaincy systems. Like you have aristocracies. Those things were not existing in the southeast or parts of the south before. But in the attempt to unify the so-called unified local government system, introduced by the Obasanjo administration, his deputy there, Yaradua, was the chairman of the committee, the federal government committee that unified that local government system and introduced all these things. That now touches on the unitary system you mentioned. If you say the local governments in Nigeria will have to be one, unified, then you are talking about unitarism. Why should the local government system in Kano be the same with the local government system in Enugu State. We do not have the same tradition. The way they are governed traditionally is not the way we are governed traditionally. Why we are governed by Omona or the Oha in the various communities, they are governed by aristocrats, by potentates, some big chiefs, which before 1913 was foreign here, completely foreign here. There was never a thing there. You know, some people out of ignorance will tell you we had chieftaincies in some parts of Igbo land before colonialism. They talk about our nature and this. The truth is that there was never such. The person you call Obi of our nature was, you know, primus inter pares, first among the Abalanzes.
Balances of
Just the most senior of the Abalanzes. It wasn't an aristocrat as such. So that is one of the problems. So you are bound to have a great deal of problems in the local government system, especially as it relates to supervision or control or usurpation by the state government. Because one, the local government system in Nigeria is a sharer of the Nigerian sharing policy. Right? It's a partaker. The state government is reliant on the federation account allocation. Now, the local government system that should be the foundation of our values, our traditional values, to indicate the coloration of Nigeria, is now made to be a sharer, a partaker in the joint account allocation system. Now, everybody is waiting. What are the revenue channels for the local government? What you are showing on screen now shows the revenue channels. Licensing of vehicles,
Yes.
licensing of bicycles, license operating abattoirs, and the rest of them. Do they do it now?
No.
They don't do it.
They
are even behaving like states.
They don't.
They don't do it. So you now find that the conflict is systemic. It's not created by the individual local government chairman. It's created from there at the center, because the center has made them to wait for the almost 80 million every month. Every month. And then VAT, you get this every month. They are waiting for it. And when it comes, 70% may be embezzled, except in some cases where the governor will tell you, you have to do it. Like you mentioned, the planning commission, the local government planning commission will ask you, this money is expected, what are you going to do with it? And maybe there's also an evaluation system where somebody will come and say,
This is what I've done.
This money has been allocated, supposedly used, what did you do with them? Once you have that kind of it, then you are likely to have a good local government system. You see, Nigerians always operate big. The local government chairmen and the councils are not supposed to be as big as they are made to be, or they make themselves to be. Like you now, one governor was buying cars for councillors and the rest of them. Some people were saying the persons who will be councillors are to be university graduates. No, it should not be that.
They must come from the people.
They must come from the people. The people who are capable of telling you the necessary track roads to the farm, to be maintained with culverts, to be widened, to be made passable by bicycles and motorcycles. Give you the proper track roads to connect one community to the other. That is actually the economy. Both the economy of the local government and the economy of the state. If it becomes easy for somebody from this community without coming to that expressway, which is like a slaughter slab, because of accidents, people moving from one local community to the other and from there to the other without any interaction with the so-called federal highways or state highways, making it so simple, leaving them in their sedate life. That is the local government system.
There's an issue I just want us to look at because I don't know, our time must be running. It has to do with, assuming without considering that this local government now get their money direct from federation allocation and then expend as they deem fit. That means they'll be paying traditional rulers.
Exactly.
They have presupposes that they will also want to show interest in who becomes a traditional ruler. Because now, traditional rulers are appointed, dismissed, suspended from the state.
By the states.
By the state.
Yeah, that is true. But actually,
that's one. I want to take it holistically. Then the other is about the local government development centers.
Okay.
I may be elected the chairman. I said, look, as far as I'm concerned, that thing does not exist.
Yeah.
Do you foresee some constitutional issues there?
Really, I do not think it's a constitutional thing. Because, okay, maybe in that of traditional rulers, there may be a constitutional issue. Because in reality, most of the states, what is the law? The chieftaincy law, although in Enugu state, the chieftaincy law leaves it with the state. But in many states, it is the local government.
Yes, actually should be the local government.
And if it is the local government, then the local government should have a hand in the making of the Igwe or the Eze. And the local government will now be able to remove them, if they want to remove them, discipline them, direct them. That's where the law...
But because, you know what do you mean? A governor sits in the high office of the state capital, decides for a man who lives virtually 1,000 kilometers away from him.
Yeah, who lives abroad even.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
Virtually in most states, including our own states, we have diaspora Igwes.
Yes, there are many. There are many.
And because governors are in a closed air conditions, they don't know whether they stay
Or they don't.
Or they don't.
They know, but the truth is that for some reasons, those people were made Igwes. There were some certain reasons, not because the governors didn't know. There ought to be supervision. Even the commissioner for chieftaincy ought to supervise them, ought to say what has to be done. So it is not as if that thing is going to bring a conflict. And when you tell them to, tell the local government chairman to now pay the traditional rulers, you know, they will also determine who becomes the traditional ruler.
Of course.
And they are going to discipline them, and they are going to limit the number of traditional rulers. Where the others are asking to be given traditional rulers, they may find it very, very difficult to do that. So you will have a situation where there will certainly be a conflict. Even political conflict will have to be part of it. There will be political conflict. In all these things you just mentioned, there will be serious political conflict. But I do not see, well, until that judgment comes out, we are not sure the local government, this local government will have the kind of autonomy people are jubilating for. No.
Okay, also Gazimora, I think time is no longer our friend, but I'm going to make a promise. You will find as soon as that judgment comes out.
Yes.
You take a hold of it.
Yeah.
And
before
then,
Tuesday we'll have it.
Then when you have it and you've gone through it,
yeah,
we'll do a return match of this conversation.
Definitely.
Because we'll be in a better position to enlighten our audience, enlighten those who are watching us,
yes,
on what that judgment is all about.
Yes. Yeah.
So until then, I just want to thank Ozo Ibonekwo Gazimora. He's the Enugu-based attorney, former commissioner for information in Enugu State, for finding time to shed this light on the judgment of the Supreme Court that happened yesterday. Yes. It's still sketchy.
Yeah, it is.
From his analysis, it's still sketchy.
It is.
So we do hope that as soon as he has the full judgment, we'll get back to it, study it, and come back for, as Ijami would say you repeat the wedding.
Yeah.
You repeat the wedding.
Yeah.
So then, thank you also.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Of course, don't forget that same time, Monday, you have a fresh edition of this program.
Okay.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.